Does God exist? That's the big question, and I'm your host, Gabriel Bouch. In this series of videos, we're taking a closer look at 10 intriguing lines of evidence that point to the existence of God. In the first video, we outlined the first 3 lines of evidence. In this video, we're going to look at the next 3. So line of evidence number 4, the existence of objective moral values and duties. Philosopher William Lane Craig makes a very simple argument. 1. If God does not exist, then objective moral values and duties do not exist. 2. But objective moral values and duties do exist. 3. Therefore, God exists. To avoid the conclusion of this argument, we've got to reject one of the premises. But philosophers have struggled to ground the existence of objective moral values and duties in anything besides God himself. If you reject God, then basically you're left with moral values and duties that are just instincts of survival or subjective preferences. On the other hand, if we reject the idea altogether of objective moral values and duties, then we're saying that life is essentially absurd. There is no good. There is no meaning. There are no ultimate goals at which we should aim our lives. The pursuit of justice and love and peace is really meaningless. Do we really want to say that? Both premises seem more reasonable than their negations, and in that case, the conclusion is true. God exists. Number 5, the life and claims of Jesus Christ. Jesus lived one of the most influential lives of all time. To this day, billions of people still look to him as a great inspiration, as a great motivator of their life and behavior. Now, this is all the more striking when you consider Jesus' circumstances. He came from a small town. He didn't hold any positions of political power. In fact, the people group that he was a part of did not have much political power at all on the global scene in his day. He didn't have a lot of money. He didn't leave us with any great writings or pieces of music or great inventions. So why is it that Jesus' life has made such an impact? Firstly, in the minds of his contemporaries, Jesus' actions demonstrated astounding access to supernatural power. Now, increasingly, this is being acknowledged by scholars of every sort of philosophical persuasion. Craig Keener says this: all of the many ancient sources that comment on the issue agree that Jesus performed miracles. Q, Mark, special material in Matthew and Luke, John, Acts, the epistles, Revelation, and non-Christian testimony from both Jewish and pagan sources. The most explicit non-Christian sources available on this point, the rabbis and Celsus, are clear. Earlier than these, Josephus calls Jesus a wise man who also worked startling deeds, a term by which Josephus also depicts the miracles worked by the prophet Elisha. This unanimity is striking given the conversely unanimous silence concerning any miracles of respected prophetic figures like John the Baptist. Secondly, not only did Jesus believe in God, he claimed that it was his union with God that enabled him to work these astounding deeds. Now, if other aspects of Jesus' life demonstrated that he was power hungry, or evil, or manipulative, or deceptive, then we might think that somehow he was able to fool the people around him. But everything we know about Jesus' life indicates that he loved people, that he wanted the best for them, that he cared for them, that he wasn't just pursuing money or power. In that case, we should be open to Jesus' own explanation for how he was able to do these remarkable things. It was because God exists, and he had an incredible union with God himself. Number 6, the unique worldview of ancient Israel. Jesus understood his life and his deeds in the context of the much larger story of the ancient Israelites. Now, the ancient Israelites lived much of their existence in the shadow of much greater superpowers like Egypt and Babylon and Assyria. The Israelites shared a number of worldview paradigms with these surrounding peoples. And yet, when it came to their views concerning deity, they had radically different perspectives about God. Scholar John Walton outlines several of these differences. The Israelites believed that Yahweh, the one true God, is the ultimate power in the universe. He answers to no one, and there are no limitations on his jurisdiction. Israel's neighbors believe the gods have competing agendas and limited jurisdiction. Even as a corporate body, they do not exercise ultimate sovereignty. The Israelites believe that Yahweh is consistent in character and has bound himself by his attributes. Israel's neighbors believe the gods are not bound by any code of conduct. They are inconsistent, unpredictable, and accountable only marginally to the divine assembly. Israel believed that Yahweh made his will known in detail through the giving of the law. Israel's neighbors believed that the gods did not reveal what they required of human beings. Their will could only be inferred from one's fortunes. Now, these examples could be multiplied. How is it that the ancient Israelites came to believe such different things about God or the gods than all the peoples around them? Well, we should be open to their own explanation, that God had actually made himself known to them. And if that's the case, this is another intriguing line of evidence pointing to the existence of God. Well, those were our next 3 lines of evidence pointing to the existence of God. If you found this video helpful, will you leave a comment or like or subscribe? And in the next video, we'll conclude by looking at the last 4 lines of evidence that point to God's existence.